Good evening. I am Walter Sakata, Vice Dean of the School of Education and Human Development. Welcome to our school salute to our graduate program's 2020 degree awardees. To our graduates, under normal circumstances, we would have applauded your walking across the commencement stage, and we would have celebrated your accomplishments with your friends and with your families at our reception either this past May or during the current month of December. But as we all know, 2020 has been anything but normal. So this evening, we are recognizing your accomplishments virtually. Personally, I join the rest of our faculty and staff in thanking you for your flexibility and for your cooperation as we pivoted from on-campus face-to-face programming to hybrid and to completely distance-based models of instruction. We have all been constrained by the threat of the COVID-19 pandemic, and many of us either have been ill or we have witnessed some of our closest family and friends become ill. That all of us are here today to celebrate your accomplishment is as much a testament to your assuming personal responsibility for your care and to your flexibility as it is to the support that was provided to you by your friends and by your families. But more so than that, I hope that you have learned from how we have been forced to adapt to circumstances that were beyond our control. I hope that you are taking away from this experience the knowledge that helps you to adapt to a future that seems destined to require our engagement in distance technologies across all of our professions, be it in telecounseling, telemedicine, teaching online, or promoting sporting events online. As you engage in your profession, and for our doctoral students as you conduct research, it is our sincerest hope that you will build upon what we have been learning to avoid our errors and our false starts. Truly, it is on your past accomplishments, your newly acquired knowledge, and your ever-developing skill sets that the society's future depends. And to our graduates, friends, and families, we salute you. Your support through what can be, even in the best of time, challenges has been critical in getting us to this evening's event. Our first speaker this evening is Mr. Dixon Biddiquo. Mr. Biddiquo earned his Master's in Special Education through the SEALD program this year. At 8 years and counting, he is a longtime collaborating teacher with Teaching and Learning's Inspire You. He teaches chemistry, physics, and engineering at Booker T. Washington Senior High School, and he is the school's Engineering Magnet Program Director.
Greetings, my name is Dixon Biddiquo. A big congratulations to all my fellow graduates. We are blessed and privileged to have made it to the end, despite all obstacles. In 2018, when we started this journey, none of us ever knew that we would be celebrating our graduation today, staring at a screen. It goes to show you that our world is changing. Our graduation couldn't have come at a better time than now. And I'm very confident that the graduate degree we celebrate today has empowered us with skills and knowledge to better address issues that may arise in our schools as we continue to render quality service to our students. Also, I'd like to say a big thank you to all our School of Education professors, staff, and the entire SEALD program team. You guys epitomize what and the School of Education stands for in our community and in our nation. Excellence, human and community achievement. With programs like SEALD and Inspire You, you infiltrate our schools, reaching educators and serving many of our minority and underrepresented students. Through these programs, you continue to blaze the way for teachers and students in our community to reach greater heights. Over the years at Booker T. Washington Senior High School, I have seen firsthand the power of Inspire You at work, breaking the walls of familiarity and giving minority students a gateway to see endless opportunities that lie ahead. Inspire You program has helped many of my students who now see themselves as having that innate ability to graduate high school and move on to college. As a science teacher, having a master's degree in education is something I have always wished for. Today, the SEALD Master Scholarship Program has made this dream come true. So again, my sincere gratitude goes to the SEALD Master's Program. for giving me and my colleagues this immeasurable gift of a lifetime. Meaningful education is the highest gift that can be bestowed on any mind. The SEALD program has equipped us with tools to be researchers in our classrooms, and it is my earnest wish that all teachers in our community be given this kind of opportunity to share in the SEALD experience. My fellow graduates, as we celebrate our new achievements today, I ask us to ruminate over current events in our society. It is true we are under a pandemic, and as a resilient people, we are surviving. But there is a bigger issue that is plaguing our society today, and that is the issue of our diversity. Presently, we see our society continuously dividing and drifting apart along racial and gender lines, because some individuals have made the choice of exploiting our diversity to further pull us apart. So, my dear colleagues, I urge us that as we celebrate our success today, we must continue to, at every opportunity we have, teach our students to cherish and appreciate the beauty in our diversity. We must always strive to use our achievement to celebrate our diversity, wherever this new graduate degree we have attained today takes us. Because I know that the degree we got today, the training we received, has empowered us to be true advocates for social change and reconstruction in our community. Remember, to whom much is given, much is expected. So let's continue to ensure that the knowledge we have obtained from the prestigious University of Miami School of Education will be reflected in our schools and classrooms and any facets of life we find ourselves, and continue to provide quality education to our diverse learners. Let us never forget what it took us to get here. Through all the unexpected trials and turns of 2020, we have overcome and achieved this milestone. Always remember that now we are a family, ambassadors of the greatest citadel of academic learning, the great Miami Hurricane. Go Kings.
As we look to our graduates' future careers and to their future accomplishments, we would also like to revisit and to honor someone whose past combines a laser-like focus on social justice with community activism and educational opportunity. This evening's speaker, Mr. Robert Moses, is an icon in the civil rights movement, a highly accomplished community organizer, and a highly respected educator. He was born and raised in Harlem, New York, where he attended its public schools. He received a BA in philosophy from Hamilton College in 1956 and an MA in philosophy from Harvard University in 1957. While still in his 20s, Bob Moses directed the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee's Mississippi Voter Registration Project from 1961 through 1964. It was an effort for which he was jailed numerous times, but which paid off in registration of thousands of new Black voters whose right to vote was being systematically denied in the state of Mississippi. He was co-director of the Council of Federated Organizations from 1962 to 1964, and he was a lead organizer for the 1964 Mississippi Freedom Summer Project. According to the website dedicated to the 50th anniversary of those actions, he provided a calm and focused leadership to efforts that educated disenfranchised voters of their rights. His organizing of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party and the subsequent floor fight in the 1964 National Democratic Convention in Atlantic City brought media attention to the absence of African Americans in that state's regular delegation to the convention. Mr. Moses began his teaching career at Horace Mann Middle School in the Bronx in 1957, where I think he taught mathematics. Subsequently, he taught mathematics at the Same School in Tanzania, East Africa from 1969 through 1976. When he returned to the United States, he re-entered the doctoral program in philosophy at Harvard University. When Bob Moses was awarded a MacArthur Foundation Fellowship from 1982 through 1987, he used his fellowship to begin the Algebra Project, which uses mathematics as an organizing tool for quality education for children in America. With support from the National Science Foundation, the Algebra Project has worked with middle and high school students who previously performed in the lowest quartile on standardized exams, proposing that they attain a high school math benchmark. That is, that they graduate on time in 4 years, ready to do college math for college credit. During the early 2010s, the Algebra Project graduated 3 groups of students from Miami-Dade County's Northwestern High School. Bob Moses is co-author with Charles E. Cobb Jr. of the book Radical Equation, Civil Rights from Mississippi to the Algebra Project. And he is co-editor with Teresa Perry et al. Of Quality Education as a Constitutional Right, creating a grassroots movement to transform public schools. Bob Moses was a distinguished visitor for the Center for African American Studies at Princeton University from 2011 to 2012. He has been an adjunct lecturer at the NYU School of Law from 2012 to 2016. He has served on the Education Advisory Committee of the Mathematical Sciences Research Institute from 2004 to the present. In May 2016, the University of North Carolina published Dr. Laura Visser Mason's book, Robert Parris Moses, A Life in Civil Rights and Leadership at the Grassroots. An emeritus member of the National Academy of Education, Moses has received numerous honorary doctorate degrees. He has delivered keynote speeches and workshops nationwide, and he has served as a principal investigator on 8 National Science Foundation Mathematics Education Research Awards. This evening, Bob Moses will talk on a subject to which he has devoted so much of his life and career, that of a workable government. Colleagues, students, families, and friends, I am honored to present to you Mr. Robert Moses.
Greetings to Dean Laura Cone-Wood and Vice Dean Walter Cicada. Clearly, the people of the nation confront enormous questions. What is not so clear and what we want to explore in just 10 minutes is how to arrive at right questions, questions that separate, so to speak, the forest from the trees. To set a small context, I ask that you understand that my father, mother, brother, Skeets, older by 13 months, moved into the projects, the Harlem River houses, in 1937, 2 years after young blacks rioted across Harlem. For the next 21 years, my father worked as a janitor at the 369th Armory, a stable job in the middle of the Great Depression. We needed milk. My mother, Skeets, and I sold milk, 2 cases before school every morning, delivered by a Harlem co-op. Each case had 20 quarts. Each quart sold for 20 cents. We pocketed 1 penny per sold quart. Sell 38 quarts of milk and voila, 2 quarts of milk at 19 cents per quart. Understand also, when I was 14 in September 1949, I left the life of the working poor. I passed the entrance exam for Stuyvesant High School. And for the next 3 years of high school, 4 years of college, and 2 years of graduate school, I was the only black student in any of my classes, with one exception. By 1952, I have graduated from Stuyvesant and I'm in the middle of my freshman college year. But the nation and President Truman are also in the middle of something, a war, a Korean War. In April 1952, President Truman ordered the Secretary of Commerce to take possession of American steel companies. 6 justices of the Supreme Court separately held the order unconstitutional That steel seizure case has had a long life. 35 years later, at the occasion of the bicentennial celebration of the 1787 Constitution, the American Assembly of Columbia University produced a book, A Workable Government, the Constitution, after 200 years. In the first few pages, its editor, Burke Marshall, revisits the steel seizure case and from it harvests Justice Jackson's separate opinion, a core constitutional question, one that has returned to haunt the nation. While the Constitution diffuses power the better to secure liberty, it also contemplates that practice will integrate the dispensed powers into a workable government, not just within the federal government, but also among the nation and the states for the end of the 20th century and on into the future. The above core constitutional question provides an on-ramp. Assume that for certain constitutional eras, the nation managed practices to integrate the dispensed powers into a workable government. But were they? And do they have any bearing on our current unworkable government? The first constitutional era, 1787 to 1865/1870, there was the practice of land confiscation and removal of Native Americans from west of the Allegheny Mountains to west of the Mississippi River. The second practice, enslaving Africans as constitutional property. Article 4, Section 2, Paragraph 3 of the 1787 Constitution. These practices supported workable governments for 73 years before the people disintegrated into civil war. Then there's the second constitutional era, 1875-76 to 1954, roughly. Native Americans now west of the Mississippi were rounded up to live on reservations under federal jurisdiction. Enslavement of Africans was replaced by the condemnation of blackness. Jim Crow laws and Supreme Court decisions. As late as 1964, Burke Marshall, then Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, wrote that President Kennedy sought a national commitment to meet the moral dilemma caused by our historical acceptance of a caste system weighted against Negroes. Federal District Judge Clayton put the question. It was spring 1963, and I was on the witness stand in the Greenville Federal District Court. SNCC field secretaries had marched with sharecroppers from Greenwood to Registrar's office and were arrested. Burke sent John Doerr to be our lawyer, and the judge wanted to know, why is SNCC taking illiterates down to register to vote? Sharecropper illiteracy and sharecropper education were the subtext of the Mississippi insurgency for the right to vote. James Conant, president of Harvard from 1933 to 1953, argued the point in a book in 1961. The people of the United States, through their duly elected representatives in Congress, acquiesced for generations in the establishment of a tight caste system as a substitute for Negro slavery. As we now recognize so clearly, but so belatedly, a caste system finds its clearest manifestation in an educational system. The immense difficulty the nation has now to accept is recognition that caste sweeps out a much wider terrain than the condemnation of blackness. Practices that could not have been lost on Conant, given Harvard's proclivities for the well-connected and the well-heeled. Conant loosened Harvard's caste system and opened its doors to well-qualified students from the Midwest. But there were no practices put in place to include the caste condemned by blackness. Castes with and castes without the condemnation of blackness are now confronted with an unanticipated 21st century educational challenge. To meet the needs of the nation and the planet in its transformation from industrial to information, computer-based technologies, technologies which require quantitative as well as reading and writing literacies. On top of all this, what has been obscured until COVID is the way in which our, quote, unworkable government devastates these castes across dimensions of housing, food, healthcare, work, and job opportunities, to say nothing of education. We are not just dealing here with the pursuit of educational qualifications for expertise, recognition, and wealth, but with the constitutional fault line Justice Jackson identified. The traditional practices employed to integrate the dispensed power of the feds and the states have once again failed. What new practices are needed? Do we have any idea how to build them? So the people of the nation grapple with enormous questions, but they are mostly about the trees in the forest, the various specific issues we face. What needs to be on the table are ways to arrive at questions about the forest itself. There certainly are other such ways. I encourage you to pursue them along with the above. Thank you very much, and congratulations to all the graduates.
During a typical commencement, we would watch our graduates walk up to the stage, symbolically receive their diplomas, and shake hands with the university's president and the school's dean. Though we cannot do so this year, we are nonetheless proud to present to you a list of our graduates' names.